And we're back. So, this night, as it begins, each of you rouse yourselves from sleep. You may make your rolls for willpower regen. And all of you, as far as you can tell, have the night to yourselves.
I'm going to instantly heal my ag damage.
Okay. Do you remember the cost for that?
Yep.
Okay. So that would take an entire night of resting. I am.
Yeah, it was the
I
previous
am.
night I was resting.
Yeah, I am considering within your downtime that is basically the same night you were like just introverted time doing divinations and shit. We'll put it as the same action. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you wake up after a long process of resting and focusing on fixing the damage as well as doing divinations once in a while to keep yourself distracted. And you wake up much hungrier than you were before. That said, for someone with certain perks, given this this particular Cainites generation, such hunger is to be expected all the time and rarely surpasses this level.
Mm-hmm.
What do the rest of you do as you rouse yourselves from sleep?
I'll probably I'll go to the patio. Just hanging out.
You'll go to?
Uh, like balcony or just outside
Mm-hmm.
to the garden.
Okay.
Check if flower is there.
All right. As you walk out, you see Larry, this large statue, essentially sort of leaned over in one of the corners, um, essentially with a little crow perched on his finger, and he's just looking at it with sort of a content smile on his face. As you exit, the crow looks to you and immediately flies off.
Larry will look into the distance where the crow flew stand up full height and just look at Jack. Hello.
Hello there, big guy. Did you sleep during the day here?
No,
Okay.
I would be dead already. I am
Fair.
an early riser.
Yeah. All fine by me. How it's been adapting here?
Well, all right, I guess. Thanks.
You're kind of welcome, but it's not really my place right now. I'd like to. Well, since you're in a pack, we do tend to be more democratic, and yeah, my servant, my ghoul, Leo, the one that was scared of you. First of all, he's very sorry. He's probably apologized already. But he found, I'd say, neat house for us. He'd say creepy house for us. Like, potatoes, tomatoes. But yeah, if you'd like to live there, I'd I'd count that into the book as well.
Well, everyone will be there, won't they?
If they decide to. Like, I can't force them.
Well, I belong to the pack. And
You are a voice in the pack.
as the pack decides, as I desire. If you know what I mean.
Makes sense. So yeah.
I am alright with whatever.
I'll be inside as most of the pack as well. So yeah. Feel free to join.
Course.
And as this conversation goes on, Serena, as you wake up and sort of measure yourself for a moment, you notice walking by the door is Titus, who seems to sort of be stretching his arms, sort of getting ready for the night.
Mm-hmm. Hello, Titus.
Hey Serena, so what's the plan for our guest? Any new
Well,
info?
currently, the Archbishop told us to, keep an eye out and, you know, basically keep him on a close watch until he can be true Sabbat.
And what about the guest? I'd say a special guest, the female one, the one
Um,
that's staked currently.
um, so, Miguel, technically that was like something we were supposed to like say later.
Yes, it was. However, we didn't have time to decide that specifically because I did have one question in the downtime responses.
It would have been Jack.
Jack. So Jack has to make that choice then. You can't just state it in your downtime what Jack is going to
Well, it would have been offered to Jack. Like,
do.
she
Okay.
would have been offered drain to Jack first.
Okay.
But otherwise, anyone else in the pack? Not me, because the rest of the pack needs to gain power.
Okay. In that case, Jack, really quick. In the middle of the week, you were offered to diablerize the Kia Seed once she became useless. Would you accept the offer?
Yeah,
Yeah?
probably.
Okay. If that's the case, we'll handle the rules after. Just know that you wouldn't get a lower generation out of this, I don't think. Let me double check, but I don't think you would.
Yeah.
Let's see. Jackie boy. Yeah, you wouldn't. So the side effects of it would not impair you as much if you failed. But we'll deal with that later. For now, let's just say that you
Yes.
diablerized her, and I will add the disciplines you gain in your sheet. So check in a bit.
So Serena turns to Titus. Well, Jack and I finished questioning her, and I finished scouring her mind for any questions that we might have. And due to the fact that she was quite connected to Jack's sire and Ruark at the same time, she had been diablerized, since we didn't want Jack's sire pulling any political weight and getting her out while she had also been spying for Ruark.
That was a good idea. But did she manage to spill the beans why she is so concerned about the war?
Well, I believe she was more interested why we're so interested in Ruark because of the fact that why would we care that she's spying for Ruark, since Ruark is one of the Sabbat? Out of character, you will get that later, because we haven't roleplayed that scene yet. Either way, right now I need to tend to Cecil quickly, and afterwards we should meet in order to decide, because even though our Ductus is currently suffering from the after effects of that diablerie, even though that is happening right now, we still need to take care of ensuring that we have political leverage. That includes dealing with Santa Monica, Jeanette, and gaining power for our pack. So, if you're able to go and find everyone else, gather them for a meeting, I'll go make sure that Cecil gets a vessel and see if he needs anything from us.
We're going to Santa Monica.
Well, we will see. First, I'll tend to him, then we have a pack meeting, and then we'll see. Okay?
Okay, I'll go find our
Yeah.
guest. He should be outside.
Find also Abel, and yeah. In the meanwhile, Serena is gonna go to the basement and get a vessel. And if she has, if there's like some spare, she will like draw like maybe like drink a bit to ease off the hunger, and then bring the rest to Cecil.
Okay. Oh, for some reason it swapped the thing. Okay. So as you bring him a vessel, I assume not conscious.
Well, I would have taken like a couple blood points from the vessel, so I'd assume the vessel is no longer conscious.
Yeah, they go out for a while after the kiss. So after all of this, You sort of drag this person up the stairs, and as you exit the
I pull
basement,
him up on my shoulder.
yeah, buff Serena. Um, so as you carry this unconscious, well, let's say it's a sort of a scrawny teenager, but still like quite tall. As you sort of carry this guy up the stairs, you open the basement door, walk out, and as you pass the living room to turn into the hallway that leads to Cecil's room, you pass by Abel, who seems to um, essentially be entering the house. You notice out of one of the windows his van is parked outside.
Abel
Hello.
steps in.
Hello, Abel.
Hello, Reverend Mother.
Hello. Hope the night has been kind to you.
So far, so good. I got a new
Mhm.
coat.
Oh. What kind of coat is it?
Abel's wearing a garnet coat
Mm.
with a fine cut.
Oh, that's quite nice. We're gonna have a pack meeting in like a bit. I'm just going to bring some sustenance to Cecil. By the way, I thought, like, I know the way you can get some information and insight. Perhaps would your tools be useful to find out how better I can aid Cecil in order to, you know, mm, secure his memories?
Perhaps.
All right.
However, he might not be very. He might be. If we're able to cure him, the
I mean,
information would have to stay between us, probably.
of course. Well, look, I am of the clan Malkavian, and I have quite a few tricks up my sleeve, but um, of course, I just like to aid him to, be, more stable in his when and where.
I can
Because,
see what I find out, and then it is up to
yeah,
you how you can use this information.
okay. Anyway, I've already informed the rest of the pack about the meeting, and we'll be converting, converging in the living room in a bit. I'll be right back. And then Serena continues going off to Cecil's room.
As you enter the room, um, you see Cecil sitting on the bed and looking fucking exhausted, just staring at the mirror.
What is it in your reflections that ails you so, Ductus?
Nothing, just leave.
I brought you a vessel. Perhaps, maybe a bit of experimentation
In sort of a
would.
flash, as you're in the middle of the sentence, Cecil almost disappears from the bed and just yanks the unconscious man away from you and slams him on the ground and starts draining him.
Serena just like takes in like a breath in, and then perhaps you should keep him for a bit of experimentation after you're done. just to take your mind off of your concerns,
He
keeping
seems
your finger, keeping your hands busy and your mind active would be beneficial. After
um
all, it is said that dexterity of your hands and active mental, you know, cognitive processes aid the mind in retaining its, you know, vi- virile state.
um as uh as you say this, he seems almost. It's kind of a guessing game if he's actually listening to you, right? Um, as you say this, as you finish the sentence, uh, the he basically yanks his head away from the corpse and seems to sort of close his eyes and just sort of take in the sensation for a moment. And afterwards, he just sort of leans on the guy's head, pushes it to essentially stand up. Uh, and after moving his back a bit, at which point you see some of the segments on his skin sort of open up and then close, sort of showing the horror show in like under his skin. Um, After he does this a couple of times, he just says, "I've told you, Iris. I will teach you vicissitude when you take to the path. Now leave my lab."
Master,
And he grabs the guy's jaw and starts dragging him towards the bed.
Master, may I remind you that Iris Amling has taken on the path. It is the year 24, and we're in LA.
As you say that, he sort of stops for a moment and sort of stares at the ground. And after a moment, you see his head
She
sort
walks,
of.
wait. She also walks up to the, like the bodies that he has, dragging to the table, and she just like takes like puts her hand on the mouth and drags it so that like the lips fuse together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And as you do this, you sort of see his head sort of dart from one side to the other as if he's looking around. And after a moment, he says, "I know that. Uh,
Okay. Then
Leave."
basically I'm going to look at him, um, and I'm going to say to him, I'm going to basically use psychomemory on him. Mm, uh, and do you remember the emotion that you felt when I finally took onto the path? When I've devoured, what was his name? Mason, as my final challenge, and adopted the path. And that's when I'm going to use Psychomemoria so that,
Mm-hmm.
that memory goes, you know, starts sinking more in.
Yeah, you may roll it.
Yes, and I'm gonna use also a willpower point. Mm. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But I'm going to keep it at the level 4. So like at 4 successes level. So not taking his willpower.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So as you say this, he, for a moment, seems to look from one side to the other, and then sort of just drops the guy on the floor, and his back sort of straightens, And he looks to the side. And he starts saying, "Go on." As if he's speaking to someone who's there, but there's no one there. Then he looks to something on the floor that's not there as well. He just says, "Go on. It's your last test. He's worthless, other than providing you tools to better achieve your goal. You may learn something from it. So go on." And after a moment of silence, you just see this really creepy smile drawn across his face. And after that smile, he sort of frowns and looks around with an air of confusion and just says,
That already happened, Master. Don't forget it.
"Leave."
Of course. There is another vessel
"Leave."
in
And he just goes to the bed and sits down.
what does his emotional state currently look like?
Roll for
Can
it.
I like okay, hmm, 1, 2, 1 success.
Okay. Given the fact that he's not really trying to stop you, and you just want to know one tiny thing about him, I'll allow it. Even though most of the time I would kind of, so you look at him and you nearly miss it as you're leaving the room. But you sort of see this sort of like a smoking aura around him, and it flashes a number of colors, all of them with either rage connotations or maybe frustration, confusion, and then just one huge splot of just grief. And that's basically all you get to see before you leave.
So grief.
Mostly confusion, anger, and stuff, and then one huge
So what's the
burst of
dominant
grief.
one?
The dominant one would probably be confusion, though it is closely matched with grief.
Yeah, that's not like a good one. I would have liked like just to affect the grief for now, so I'll just leave for now. Another night. So I'm going to go to the living room, and hopefully the rest of the pack is there.
It depends. Anyone not showing up?
Also,
Good. I'll take the silence as everyone showing up.
Yeah.
All right. So Serena enters the living room. In the living room, you see basically the couch. Jack is, I would assume, pretty relaxed on the couch, with Leo standing near the end of the couch where he's sitting on, just very ready to do whatever he says. There's Titus sort of pacing around, looking out the window. There's Abel, who I would assume would be sitting on the couch, sort of thinking to himself, sort of scooted to the corner, because in the rest of the couch is Larry, who is this huge fucking lug, who is unaware that he's taking most of the space on that couch.
Abel can be seen throwing admiring glances at Larry, as he thinks he's an extraordinary individual.
well, good evening, pack. So we should sort out a few things this night. So first, I do believe we should definitely decide on a new place to stay. And we should decide on one place that we move to next. And in the meanwhile, I will also prepare some backup locations because I personally think that it would be very beneficial if Cecil would get an option to experiment once more in his labs because, as his saying goes, idle hands are the devil's playground. And even mortals believe that. Um, Partaking in hobbies that require dexterity and mental states are beneficial for one's healthy mind.
Leo found a place.
Oh? And
Yeah.
what is it?
Dearest Pack, how would you like to move into Haunted Horror House? The story mention with a story of killing someone and kinda secluded as well.
What's the story behind the murder?
Leo? You have much more info about that.
Leo sort of straightens his back and looks very nervously towards the rest of the pack, puts both his hands behind his back, and clears his throat. Well, from the information I could gather, the first murder to happen in the house was uh, apparently a murder out of jealousy, husband murdering his wife. Then the house was purchased by a family who all died at the hands of the father. The police case described it as, well, they assigned a number of murders to him, so they assume he was a serial killer who simply got his secret exposed to the family and decided to take matters into his own hands. That's as much information as I could gather on those particular murders. Though I should mention, this is a very advantageous position, if you'll permit me. And he sort of glances at Jack.
You can share your opinion, but we'll have to we'll have to honor 1,000-year-old democracy.
Of course,
Well,
of course.
Well, here's the deal. So, due to the previous, issues with the pack being betrayed, by the way, I have also some news about our recent traitor, Nosferatu. Now, we've all felt the bonds of Voldery break with him, and perhaps some of you assume that he has died. Well, my divination has revealed that our little rat is more than alive, kicking and enjoying his time. And furthermore, he is protected from my divination by Tremere fucking magic. Which means, most likely, the rat has been allied with the Camarilla now.
Yeah.
So now all of you know that we're here in this house because this house was a place that I found and kept a secret from everyone, including him. So, with the house that we've currently talked about, we could perhaps check it out tonight if we aren't summoned for anything else. And if we like it, we take it. The same would apply for if we don't like it, then I'm going to suggest one of the houses that I found. But only one, because the rest, like, I also have 3 locations. But should we like this one, or we pick any other one, then the rest ones are going to be kept secret, and I will ensure that we have access to them in case our haven gets compromised once more. I'm sure you all understand why we need to do things this way.
Perfectly reasonable. Speaking of Tremere, uh, Mariposa and her friends, let's say that,
Mm-hmm.
were in debt to a Tremere well known in this city.
Strauss?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Well,
Interesting.
they were.
Hmm. So, how much in debt?
That I don't yet know, but we can thread more into
Another thing.
Mariposa's papers.
Yes, all right. Well, another thing, though, regarding our gray rat. We should find out where Oswald is as well. He was his sire, and if, and as far as I know, Oswald had defected from the Camarilla and the Anarchs before.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me
We
twice.
can't say that he wouldn't have defected from the Sabbat once more. Actually, perhaps this is a bit of information that I should discuss with Victoria. Um, right then. Do we have any other information about Santa Monica or anything else that was out of the ordinary or anything that the pack should consider before I give a call to our Archbishop?
Well, my sire, she asked me for a favor of sort, for
Hmm.
her favor with the sword of the Huntress, not the sword.
And if
And
you're mentioning
I
that,
must
then
admit, Hollywood is a really nice place.
really,
Oh yeah. But
Hollywood.
they didn't really try to pull anything on me. As long as I
Did
didn't
you
pull a
had to
trick
do
on them.
something with the Anarchs?
I had to deliver a letter.
To whom?
Isaac.
Hmm. Interesting. So, did he meet you somewhere neutral?
Uh, if I would guess, it was his place.
Oh, and so you know now where he lives.
I know perfectly the way.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
that sounds very good. I'm sure we will find a good usage to that. Any other locations that were revealed to you?
Mm, I was sent to retrieve a package for my sire from Vesuvius, and
Mm-hmm.
that's about it.
Vesuvius, another anarch location?
A club of sort.
Hmm. I see. Very well. Mm. Titus, anything on your side to report?
Well, we've gotten written of every single sample we managed to find. The leftovers of Mantachroma in East LA, but that's all. Nothing unusual.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, speaking of Mendichroma, I had a look at the way Mariposa did it.
Mm-hmm.
It is rather precarious use of vicissitude.
Interesting. I would like to have a look at that.
I would like to share it because it's no use to me.
Of course. You can leave the findings in my room.
Will be done.
Abel, anything on your side? Abel?
Nothing new at the moment.
Very well. And none of you have been having any otherworldly feelings of being watched or anything?
Well, when
No.
I medicate in the shroud, but I suppose it's of a different nature.
Yes, I was more concerning the ghost,
I am
given...
still concerned because the denizens of Abyss are a force to be reckoned with.
Well, true, but the denizens of Abyss haven't been known to accompany Rurak and his child.
That is true.
Right then. Larry, how has been your 2 weeks been? I assume the the basics that I filled you upon the Masquerade, or the Silence of Blood as we call it, the clans and Sabbat's mission um have been enlightening enough to you. And I hope your week has been more kinder to you than in that church.
Yes, indeed. Thanks.
Right then. I'm going to give a call to the Archbishop and see if she has any directions for us this night. Otherwise, after that, we can decide whether our first order of priority is, well, I do believe before we start making our moves on Santa Monica, perhaps a safe house better than this one should be high on our priority list.
Yeah, how far is this whorehouse? Give or take.
Um, are you asking that out of character?
I'll I'll ask Leo just like he knows better about it.
Okay, and we are talking about Vesuvius.
I would probably know as well.
Um,
Nope. Whorehouse.
Ocean house.
sorry,
The house that
We're
Leo
talking
found.
about
sorry, my internet is kind of
the
spotty.
horror house. Yeah, same here actually.
Um,
Ocean house.
ah, the haunted mansion.
Horror house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it is not incredibly far, if I remember. Allow me to check my notes here. Right. So the haunted house is not incredibly far from Santa Monica. Um, it is essentially, I can actually pin it on the map. It is located here. Basically,
Okay,
in sort of
so outside
a
of...
field outside, like off the road. There's like a dirt path that you drive
Okay.
into, and after you drive for a while, you reach the house.
Okay, so that that looks to be outside of the inner territory, and also should be, if it's suitable for our needs, it should be actually quite good for us. Though, on the other hand, given Cecil's current situation, we are opening ourselves and leaving ourselves quite open to attacks should somebody come for us.
It is double-edged sword. Yeah.
Perhaps we should still have a look at it because it could be useful as a base of operations, even if we don't move there. Or at least if we don't move there with the whole pack. So let's say a couple of us stay elsewhere because Cecil needs another location. We can't really put him into an area where there's Anarchs on one side and the Camarilla on the other side, and no Sabbat near us.
Leo
Because
sort of
in essence,
Leo sort of um, clears his throat and says, um, "May I have permission to speak?"
go ahead.
Further information that has yet to be revealed about this place is the advantages it provides, and I believe they more than outweigh the difficulties of staying outside of Sabbat domains. The building itself not only is quite sturdy, if a bit neglected, the inside of the building provides a few advantages rarely found elsewhere. In fact, it's one of the few places I thought was worthy of a Mr. Jack as well as anyone who associates with him. It has plenty of rooms, plenty of privacy, plenty of rooms that can be soundproofed, and it has a few details that could be useful for uh, beings of such exalted nature as your own. Um, it has direct access to the sewers via a series of tunnels underneath the building. It also has enough space in said tunnels to create several areas underground that would not be accessible by any mortals unless you decided to leave the doors unlocked. As for supernatural access, no, that depends on what supernatural we're dealing with. From my experience, I've yet to see any supernaturals that can infiltrate the building easily without making noise, and the ones that can, well, I can very easily set up traps to prevent this, at least for the disciplines I'm aware of.
The Nosferatu would be the most worrisome, as the little that I could detect of where Sosimo is, for example, currently, is in Hollywood. And as far as I'm concerned, that place is right between Santa Monica and Hollywood.
I have considered that someone like Mr. Sosimo might try to break into the place. This is why I took the liberty of scouting the sewers myself. The entrance is very off the beaten path, and if needed, it can be disguised as one of the fissures on the ceiling. You see, the access is given through a hatch, a vertical hatch. Unless someone knows it's there, it is quite hard to see already. If covered up, well, unless the Nosferatu already know it exists, they won't see it. And even if they do, they'd have to know exactly where it is.
It would be It would be a mistake to assume that the Nosferatu who have been here longer than we have do not know of such passages.
Of course, madam.
For even the place where Mariposa was merely the old warrens of the Nosferatu.
Of course.
By the way, is Kain spreading any rumors about the mansion house since it had some murders? Because that may have a feeling that it may be a potential target for hunters, especially if rumors go so far.
I have personally visited the building myself, as stated. I highly doubt its haunted nature is warranted. I witnessed no supernatural events, though I am sure someone of your exalted nature might be able to spot such signs easier than I would. However, in the entire time I scouted the building, and when I went inside the building, I experienced nothing. If hunters do visit it, I'm sure we could deter them, and if not, I'm sure simply keeping the proper amount of precautions could make them think it's simply a tourist trap. It is LA, after all.
Shall we go scout the place and check for any supernaturals? Well,
Definitely we should. Either way, if we all agree that checking out that place is more suitable for tonight, activities before we start making our way into Santa Monica. I mean, even if we decide that perhaps that place won't be good for um Cecil to stay in permanently, until he gets better, it would be a very beneficial location for us to make our move against either Hollywood or Santa Monica.
Hollywood is smaller, from what I remember, in our territories, but it is essentially gemstone on the crown of this wicked city.
Yes, it's just that it is on one side we have Santa Monica on an with supposedly the Anarchs, but in reality the Camarilla, well, the Anarchs ruled by Therese. On the other side we have downtown with Strauss and also the Giovanni hiding among them. And on the second side we have motherfucking Hollywood with more anarchs. And north of it, we have Griffith Park with werewolves.
So either way you look at it, we are in a pincer's.
Well, that's what I mean, that perhaps for all of us who are, you know, it is a good place perhaps to start operations to return to and then use the sewers to actually return to a proper place. Basically create an idea that we do stay there. Or it would be just good for some of us to stay there, not all of us. At least until our Ductus has stabilized his memories, because as it is right now, his self is constantly being flung between the memories where he is. Tonight, he thought that he was still back in the Three Counties, and I am still the Camarilla Prince, Iris Amling, and I have yet to go on the path of metamorphosis. So I had to remind him of those events and have him relive those memories. Hopefully, that mm, Hopefully, the discipline that I used on him to make him relive those memories makes those memories more potent in his mind. Um, well, at the very least, there's no sign of Mariposa whatsoever within him.
We just need to make sure we won't have another visit like that time when Rourke visited our place.
Yes, that as well. Which is, it would be perhaps even better that mm, if we do have like a couple havens, free maybe. Either way, I'm going to give Victoria a quick call, just to inform her about Sosimo's continued existence, as well as so that she may make the appropriate safety measures. Uh, because technically, we need to announce a wild hunt on the guy. So perhaps that house would be quite beneficial, maybe even to lure him. If we make it seem as if we do live there, I'm sure the rat would come snooping about very soon. Right then, I'm going to take up the phone and call Victoria.
All right then. The phone rings, and shortly after, immediately it's picked up, and a male voice responds. Who fucks this?
Serena, I need to speak to the boss.
I see. Uh, can you wait like a minute? Hold on, actually.
Yes.
And you hear it like from far from the mic, and very muffled, as if he's like holding it to his chest. Boss, Serena? Yeah, sure. You got lucky. And you hear sort of the bump of the mic as if it was like thrown and grabbed. And after you hear Victoria say, right, keep him still, please. Hello.
I have dire news. Our pack is going to be hunting down a traitor, but this does concern the safety of the sword. I believe you remember the shovelhead who was embraced into truth about a while ago, Sosimo, the Nosferatu.
The betrayer filth, yes.
Yes, so he's still alive, somewhere in Hollywood, I assume in the new Nosferatu Warrens, and protected by the Tremere fucking magic from my divination.
Not an easy task, but the sword has handled worse.
Yes. Either way, what I am concerned about, his sire, Oswald, the double betrayer of the Anarchs and the Camarilla, has he been active? Sosimo would have not been able to escape without his input.
If he is active, I'll personally have a conversation with him.
Very well. Well, that's what I felt was necessary to relay, so that in case either of them show up or Oswald tries to still act as if he's loyal to the sword, the sword would know better.
I will contemplate this problem, and if I deem it pressing at the moment, I'll call a wild hunt. However,
Very well.
currently, I think we have a bigger problem.
Of
In
course.
fact, you may actually be able to help me.
Of course. How can our pack aid you, Your Excellency?
We've spotted a number of anarchs in the war zone south of here. If you can recall, that war zone is divided between Sabbat and Camarilla. Anarchs shouldn't be making a play on it, and yet we see their troops there.
Of course.
The reason why we recognize some of the Anarchs is because apparently some of our members have scouted Santa Monica and spotted relatives of theirs. Which means Santa Monica forces are moving into the war zone. The question is why? Why would Anarchs be moving into a war zone that they have no chance of claiming? And my guess is that you already have some information on it. If you can stop those reinforcements, that would be a win for us.
Very well. We will make our way, but I do believe there is a reason why the Anarchs are moving there.
Reason being?
And that reason, Jeanette, or rather, Therese.
So
They are one and the same.
So Cecil's reports were accurate.
Yes, they are one and the same. I guess they suffer from a split personality disorder. But last we've interacted with Jeanette, it was no longer Jeanette in command. And considering that the news on the spot are that Jeanette has taken out Therese and she has taken a one-up on Strauss, I'm sure this is all just a bunch of lies meant to have the Anarchs be used by the Camarilla.
I suppose this matter does need to be handled. Santa Monica would be a nice addition to Sabbat forces, and having 2 archbishops in the area would be better than 1. Or at least 2 bishops. If whoever takes over is willing to compromise. Regardless, if you can, take over the territory. If you can't, make sure they stop sending reinforcements. Break their alliances, do whatever you have to. And if possible, I would like to have a word with your Ductus.
After our attack on Mariposa, he is still recovering.
Is he still fit for duty?
He will be. I am ensuring it.
Make certain he is. Right
I
now,
will.
this war is heating up, and we scarcely can provide assistance to someone who needs to be dragged around.
I have no other duty but to ensure that he is back on his feet.
Good. In addition, I've yet to get word from this specific specimen, but I may have an opportunity for you. I've gotten word that an independent elder is willing to help the sword greatly, or at least specific members of the sword. He received the blessing of one of the Black Hand.
Oh.
Which means the Black Hand may very well be looking for recruits who prove themselves to this specific member. If your group can prove themselves worthy, one of you may get a sudden amount of power that not a lot of us have.
I see. Of course, we will consider that too. Whatever information you feel we need to have, we will consider it.
Good. For tonight and the future weeks, focus on Santa Monica. I will give word
Very
when
well.
this particular issue can be handled. And
Very
then you
well.
hear the
Mhm.
her voice sort of distance from the mic, and you just hear like a very faint. You just hear Victoria very faintly, and she says, "We no longer need this pendejo. You can burn him." And then you just hear a bunch of screams, and you basically hear a door close, and the screams get very faint, and her
Yeah,
voice rises once more. Report your results over the next few weeks.
very
Any
well.
other questions?
Very well. No,
Good.
we can work with this.
Good. Until next time. And you hear a click.
Mm-hmm. Okay, be right back. I need to go to
Mm-hmm. So in the meantime,
Abel, who would have guessed that Red would suit you so good?
I think everything looks good on me.
Can't deny that. But I'm still to see you in something rather Toreador-like.
Well, nothing bad about looking good.
Oh no, I meant peculiar.
I'm just gonna don't turn on my camera yet, Miguel.
Like I said, Red, in our line of business, is practical.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Do give me a word though if it needs second fitting. I just use the all eye measurements.
Okay, so right then, so I believe Therese has started finally moving. As Victoria relays, others have been seen in the area where it's the battlefield between Sabbat and Camarilla. And since we know that Jeanette is Therese and Therese is Jeanette, well, we can make our conclusion from this.
Who's in
So I
charge
believe
though?
last time we were there, it was Therese.
The Camarilla one?
Yes, it's a Camarilla one. And either way, the organization that's currently done by the Anarchs and all that really justifies the fact that it is Therese in charge and not Jeanette. Jeanette isn't the most organized of the two siblings.
And worst case, blame falls on Anarchs.
Of course, worst case, blame falls on Jeanette. And currently, the story is that Jeanette killed Therese. So, of course, nobody's going to. So, I think we should definitely check out the Santa Monica, the Ocean House. First of all, we should definitely check it out. Miguel, you can turn back on my camera. So we should definitely check it out. And second, we should decide how we deal with it. Now, originally, we thought to wait for Diesel and I thought to wait for this woman, Tammy, to show up once more. An anarch of great clout from the old world. But she is dead. And we were also looking into getting one of the anarchs who still have pull onto our side, also from the old world. And I think working with one of them right now would be beneficial to us. After all, if we manage to convince her that they are being led by the Camarilla, it could sow dissent and stop the anarchs of partaking in Camarilla's war against us.
Knock the legs off the table until it falls.
Yes, Titus, do you remember the mm, wait, let me find. Do you remember the woman we've um Pennybeth? Do you remember Pennybeth? I believe you've tracked her once.
Pennybeth.
The Anarch.
Hmm. Is she related to Lolita Cash?
Yes. Or perhaps you tracked Lita Cash, didn't you?
Yeah, you remember it was actually info from Kosh, and he made me. So we had to
Well,
go to that bar.
well, we have um we have already checked out what would have been better, Lita or Pennybeth for our cause. And Pennybeth would be the more suitable option. But we need to find a way of contacting her. Currently, I don't have a way to do that.
Yeah,
But I do
the
know.
problem is that Sosimo is the one that had to manage that issue, and that's bad
Well,
news.
I do believe that I can divine her location. Um, but I will do that another night. And tonight, let us check out the Ocean House. It would be a good location for us to start our assault on Santa Monica. Anyone have any arguments against that?
Absolutely not.
Right
Go
then.
for it.
Mm, okay, then pack whatever you need and we leave in 10 minutes.
Anybody have a spare sword by any chance?
I have one, but it is still it still reeks of faith, I'd say. If you are
Well,
interested,
I would need something I can use.
I believe I
well,
have a spare sword. And I can lend you one.
Thank you, Reverend Mother.
Very well. So Serena will go to her room and retrieve a sword and give it to Abel while packing
The
her own sword.
the sword you are handed, Abel, shows a great many number of signs of being used. However, it is still
Neat.
very, very sharp. So,
Well, once outside, I will give it a few flourishes and see how well it's balanced.
it is balanced as well as you could hope it would be. Um, it is definitely a tool that was designed to kill, not for any other activity. It's not like one of those half survival tools that kind of pretend to be swords. It's not one of those shopping mall swords that is way too top heavy and way too brittle. This thing is designed to be used to kill, and you are pretty sure it has been used to kill before.
Well, fair enough. That'll do. Still better than a brick to the face.
You probably recognize the sword as the one I use against the huntress. And you see also that Serena has a second one which hasn't been used yet, just like this one. And you also would remember that these are the swords that you got for Serena from your ghoul.
Oh, I didn't actually see the handover, but I would assume as much.
Right then. Larry, you're coming with us?
Of course.
How would you be traveling? It would be quickest if we all get into Abel's van.
By my own.
Right then.
Above or
Um,
below? Main question.
I can track you down.
That's
Very
probably
well.
Below.
So no need to take the van?
well.
No.
There's still 4 of us.
Yes.
If you take Leo as well, then 5.
I think what he means is no need to take what is essentially his portable haven.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
We can take SUV.
Very well. Before we leave, I'm going to basically get my so there is one Schlachter in the house, right? The one that I made recently.
Mm-hmm.
Same as the popper.
Does it look the same?
Yeah.
Any other
It's the same one.
modifications? Okay, good.
No. It's very like efficient, so
Yeah.
wide but a
If
bicycle.
anything, the modifications look a bit cleaner because you've done it before.
Yeah. So I basically get Schlachter to stay like on the first floor while we're gone and guard the place. Specifically, guard Cecil.
Mm-hmm. Do you give it
And
any
the
specific
same,
instructions on where in the house to be?
I tell it to be inside the house.
Okay. So
Um,
away from windows.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Got it.
I mean, all the curtains are closed, so no looks inside. No one can look inside. And I also, before we leave, I go down into the sewers to see my other Schlachter and instruct it the same way, so that basically ensures that nobody gets into up from here.
Okay. Sounds good.
Obviously, with the exception for Larry if he uses like the sewers to get in or out of the house, but
Okay. While giving the instructions, the Schlachter sort of looks to you a bit confused when you mention Larry, and then you have to describe what he looks like. And then after a bit, the Schlachter seems to understand, you think.
mm-hmm.
These things aren't smart.
um,
I mean, they're sort of lobotomized to shit, so it's to be expected.
mm-hmm.
How do
Okay,
we...
well,
Can we all see the Schlachten?
you've seen the Schlachter in the house. It's the same one.
No,
It's
the question
pretty much.
the question here is: are you giving the instructions in front of everyone else?
Oh, for the Schlachter that was in the house, yes, but the other Schlachter is in the sewers, so
Yeah.
unless people decided to follow me into the sewers,
Yeah.
no.
So basically, what you guys see is basically Serena calls a Schlachter, like calls with a sort of a whistle, and out of the basement comes running this mangled creature most of you would recognize what type of Schlachter it is, since it's basically the same as the other one. Only you'd recognize it was made from someone else. This one still has what looks like long blonde hair and has more female features than the other one, let's say that. So definitely the raw material was different. But it looks as fucking brain dead as the other one.
Mabel
What?
sees the creature, then he feels a certain regret.
You
It
can
doesn't
see
say
Serena.
anything.
Oh, you can see also Serena give it like like a scratch behind the ear, like to a dog, and say, "Now guard the house very well, especially the master. Understood?"
It looks confused.
I telepathically tell it to do so.
Yeah,
Explain.
and as soon as you do that, the creature sort of looks vacantly for 1 second with sort of like oddly creepy childlike eyes, and then sort of a flash of epiphany hits it, and it looks to you and then starts walking towards the room where Cecil is in.
With your life. Understood?
There's a grunt.
Serena gives it like a pat on the head
Doesn't seem to react.
and then leaves the house. I suppose we can take my sports cars then.
All right. So first stop is
Ocean House.
Ocean House. I mean, you call it Ocean House. It's not the same building, but okay.
Party at the horror house.
Horror House 5.
Horror with 3 R's.
Okay. So you move through the city. So if you look at the map, are you taking a direct path there, given all the inconveniences that may bring, or are you doing this, which takes longer?
Like an extra hour and a half.
We're gonna cut through the shortest path.
So direct.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
But here's the thing, we're not gonna cut through where you drew, like, right? Because that's like the very fucking,
Isn't there Chinatown at this part?
Mm-hmm. Well,
we're
actually,
gonna like
the
use.
Chinatown is this area here, I believe.
All right.
This
We're
area
gonna
is still
use like
downtown.
we're gonna use this area here
Okay.
to cross
Okay, that's
because
fine.
it's a bit away from the like center.
Mm-hmm. That's fine. So you drive through the downtown area. You even pass through a chunk of Chinatown. And the area is.
Keeping watch.
Hmm? I'm
gonna be keeping watch for anyone.
Mm-hmm. The area is rather odd. Some of you have been in LA long enough. In this case, I'm mentioning mostly Titus and Jack. Some of you have been in town long enough to at least have a glance at Chinatown here and there. In the past few years, it's slowly gone from a place where you could get a genuine slice of not specifically Chinese culture, but general Eastern culture, It's gone from that to more of a tourist attraction. However, I will have everybody in the group who has awareness and is paying attention and is not driving rolling perception awareness.
By the way, I also rolled. By the way, Miguel, I also rolled for perception alertness
To see
keep
if
an eye out for anyone.
yeah.
Yeah, 5 successes
Are you driving?
there. No, Leo's driving.
Okay, got it.
2, 3. 2 successes on the awareness roll.
1.
Careful applies.
Careful does apply. Okay. So I think you.
I'm barely.
So Serena does not spot anyone following the group. That said, as you drive through Chinatown, at some point you pass this alley, and for some reason, all of you sense sort of a shift, like being like floating in the water and feeling a wave pass by. It's not something you can quite describe. There's something strange about that alleyway as you pass it. Serena, being the only person who's actually looking out to see if anyone's following or watching the van, notices that in that alleyway there seems to be sort of a little shop, but you don't quite see the sign of it. But I'll allow you to memorize the location for later
Yeah,
use.
she'll probably like make a quick note on her phone.
Would you share it with everybody so they don't have to like roll for it later, or are you keeping it to yourself?
Yeah, I would share it with the rest later.
Okay.
I'll just commit like general location to the memory.
So you drive through this area, and eventually you are relieved to exit Camarilla territory and enter sort of this neutral land between Hollywood and downtown. And driving through here seems mostly peaceful. It's almost like Cainites avoid the area because of potential conflict that might happen. Almost like there's an understanding that you stay in your corner, we stay in ours. That type of mentality is how downtown and Hollywood seem to coexist to any extent. And after after about an hour of driving at this point, you start to reach this road where where Leo sort of turns into a dirt path, where he drives for about 2-3 minutes before you reach this very large, very unkept looking mansion. It has vines growing on it. It has these very sturdy looking walls that have a front. It looks very unkept, like the paint is chipped off. But you can tell it's solid walls, unlike most of the modern housing where the type of wall is like a thinner material. And after reaching the place, Leo parks the car nearby, turns off the engine, and he turns to you, like he gets out of the car, opens the door in the back waiting for everyone to get out, and then turns to Jack and says, Mr. Jack, if you will give me permission, I will unlock the entrance I've used in the past.
Lead the way.
Of course. He starts walking towards the mansion, and he walks around the front door. And if any of you follow him, what you see him do is he approaches this basement door, one of those basement doors you open like so. He opens this basement door with sort of a very large shriek of the metal hinges sort of struggling to open. And then he opens the other side with the same sound. He reaches into his pocket, takes a flashlight, and sort of clicks it on and looks inside and says, just like last time, should have access to the entire house from here.
Okay.
Should
So-
I? And I kind of like point to the eyes.
It is an
How dark is
option, sir, but I think flashlights will do unless we are looking for something specific. Of course, the choice always falls to you.
I
It
believe.
cares some consequences if we are not in Abyss's favor. So yeah,
Shall I stick to flashlights?
yeah, let's do that.
Of course. If any extra lights are needed, I do have a few normal ones and one industrial grade light in the trunk of the car.
Yeah, I believe. Let's grab them.
Of course. And Leo proceeds to go grab it for you.
Well, he's gone. Like, I'll go look. Yeah. It's wondrous how
I'm-
much they can learn.
I'm going to check out the area, see if there is anything suspicious, supernatural.
All right. In that case, given the fact that you are scouting a very large area, you're not looking for specific things. I'll have you roll wits and awareness instead of perception.
Okay. Mm-hmm. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5 successes.
You look around the building, and as far as you can tell, there are no supernatural effects on the outside. You do examine the inside through the windows as much as you can. However, you do notice that a lot of the windows are, number one, bricked, closed, and the few that have sort of like a little gap at the top, when you look inside, it's basically pitch black, and it's really hard to tell if there are supernatural things happening just by jumping to look over it, right? The windows on the second floor are all brick shut.
Okay. So, I guess let's go in and split up.
As Leo returns and starts handing out flashlights, he hands the industrial one to Jack and says, fair warning, I might be quite noisy as we walk in. The place is... Well, the air is rather stale. There's not a lot of ventilation. And given the amount of dust, it's hard for those of us who require basic functions like breathing. It's hard for us to exist in there without coughing our lungs out.
Abel, do you still have
Perhaps.
your gas mask with you?
I don't carry it on person.
Perhaps it would be beneficial if Leo stayed outside and kept watch.
Mr. Jack?
Yeah, that sounds more optimal.
Of course.
If there is a scene of note there, do tell.
Of course, Mr. Jack.
By the way, has Larry arrived?
Larry has yet to arrive. But I will say when he does.
So let's wait for our lovely neighborhood gargoyle.
Oh, so you wait for him to arrive before...
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Larry, are you going all the way through the sewers until you can't go anymore? Or are you at some point exiting the sewers and taking flight?
I'm at some point exiting the sewers and taking flight.
All right. So make your entry.
Is it safe for me to land outside the
Completely
building?
safe. There's enough space around that if someone saw something fall from the sky, they'd assume it's a bird.
A big fucking bird.
Well,
Yeah,
they'd
we'll do
assume it's a
that.
bird that's closer than what it actually is.
Yeah.
That
I
being
would do
a
that.
2+ meter tall giant with huge fucking wings falling from the sky. Because that's a bit hard to believe, and the human brain is amazing at fooling itself.
Yeah, I would just land right beside the entrance.
Yeah.
Carefully, not to smack the earth too much.
So no landing like
No superhero
No,
landing.
I'm not fucking Superman. I'm a stone giant.
What a graceful landing for someone your size, Larry.
Thanks.
Right then. We're going to go inside and explore. Leo's gonna stay out and keep guard. I assume you also want to have a look at our potential new house?
Yes, of course.
All right,
Okay.
so who goes in at the front?
Titus activates Eyes of the Beast and goes to the front.
All right. So you may spend the cost if there is a blood cost. I believe there is a
There's
blood
no
cost
cost.
for for the
Oh,
for the
no
eyes now.
cost.
So essentially, what you guys see is Titus sort of blinks, and in just one blink, his eyes are basically two red beacons of light, and he just walks inside. And as he does, while Leo says nothing and remains as stoic as possible, you do notice that there's a slight hint of surprise, and then he sort of stares at Titus for a moment as he walks inside, and then says, "I'll be watching around from the car," and sort of takes a deep breath and starts walking towards the car.
My man is used to the fucking celebration, but like for TM, oh no.
Oh, you've gotten used to how he reacts with Larry since it's kind of a constant thing, but at first it's like,
It's like the man is present for Optodeberation. The man is present for like vicissitude and Schlacht and Wurst.
because he's used
But
to it,
Nosferatu.
but he's
Red-Eye,
not used to like this scary hunter going like, okay, I'm just casually gonna look like a monster, not really acknowledge it. Everyone else acknowledges what they look like. Titus doesn't really. It's kind of natural at this point. So Titus, as you walk inside, you go down the stairs into the basement. You have to sort of crouch your head, and Leo really wasn't lying. In the basement, just breathing in, you can tell that you're breathing in stale air and lots of dust. And as you look around, while you can't see the dust properly at range, it's not the type of thing that you can see within the shadows. You mostly see the shape of the room. Right in front of you, where the light of your eyes does illuminate whatever dust is floating in front of you, it's basically a cloud within the basement. That's how dusty it is. And just you walking in here is raising more dust. the basement is quite large, and you do see a number of doors. Not all of them in good condition, but a few are. All of them are either open or ajar. None of them are actually closed. Though you would know from Leo's report as you drove here that the doors do work, all of them. It's just that some are not entirely intact, so they might need to be replaced. So you can see, just from looking at the room, since the doors are open or ajar, there are at least 3 rooms connected to the basement. One is basically a long storage area. You would assume it was used to store basically boxes up to the back, and then it was you store stuff all the way until it fills to the front, and then you close the door, and then if you need something, it's a storage of all the same things, so you just open, take what you need, remove the boxes that are empty, and then close, and you basically go along that long corridor all the way to the back. Then you have another room to your left that's sort of this smaller, sort of enclosed room. Enough to fit maybe 2 king-sized beds side by side, but not much larger than that. And then the third door leads to stairs, though the walls in that sort of stairway down, the walls clearly look less refined than in the basement. In the basement, it looks like concrete coverings. In that staircase, it looks more like very, very old stonework, like you would see, for example, in a castle, though this is clearly a bit more modern than a castle wall. And
I
then
just assume that it's possible entrance to the sewers.
you would assume so, yes. And then there's the thing you would expect, a stairway going up right on the corner of the room that you expect leads to the rest of the house.
I just inspect the rooms to see if there are any interesting items.
All right.
Remaining.
And the rest of you basically follow with your lights on, and you see about the same thing. So as Titus moves into one of the rooms, which one would you like to try first?
The long one.
Okay.
I assume it's at the left from the entrance.
So you open the door to this long room, and it's mostly empty, though you do notice there is something covered by cloth at the end of it. Going up to the item, just by the shape, you would assume it's maybe a closet. It's some piece of furniture that was left here covered by a cloth. Do you remove the cloth, or?
I'll check what's behind the cloth.
Okay, well, just lifting the cloth to check what's under it, it does seem to be sort of it's basically a bed frame on its side, and it looks like chunks of the bed have been shattered. So it was probably left here because when the house was emptied of stuff, no one really wanted this broken bed frame. So it was just left here.
Nothing interesting in this room.
You were about to say something, Alex?
I thought it was able.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm slipping on the ring.
okay. You slip on the ring, and despite the fact that you're holding a flashlight, all of a sudden the entire room sort of seems this... Whatever areas you're illuminating with the light suddenly go half as lit as they were before. So everything is pitch black, and whatever you can actually illuminate with a flashlight looks dark, stingy, and it's just off. Looking around, you don't see any presences. We can call it that.
Well, I don't want to hinder my vision, so I will take it off.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else doing anything?
I'm going to check basically, since it's very dusty, it should be quite visible on the ground if there's like if there's any tracks. So I'm going to be looking for that.
Mm-hmm. Roll me just very quickly wits and investigation. It's going to be apparent. This is for something else.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna get the general vibes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 4 successes.
Okay.
Shadow.
Sorry, Jack. What did you say?
I'm gonna just like fill the shadows for general vibe.
Okay. You can roll me, let's say, wits awareness, and Serena, as you examine the
Yeah.
floor, you do see a couple of footprints that lead around the place, and you see a number of like shifted bits in the dust. However, you recognize the footprints all as being clearly the sort of fancy, expensive shoes that Leo likes.
Okay.
The rest of the shifting in the dust you recognize as signs of small animals like mice, maybe rats.
Mm-hmm.
So Jack, as you feel the shadows around you, at first you don't really feel anything is that catches your eye, or rather your fingertips. But at some point you do feel sort of an odd. The best way to describe it is a cold heat, sort of emanating from one side. And as you turn to that side, and you sort of turn your flashlight to see what's over there, you just see Abel sort of examining the room, but not really doing anything odd.
Okay.
Mm. Now that I'm inside the house, does it feel off to me? Like supernatural perspective?
Are you looking for anything specific?
General vibes of the house.
General, so you're not looking for signs of supernatural creatures. You're more or specifically for things that affect you as vampires, or things that affect people.
Well, because of what Leo said, that there have been quite a few murders and so on inside the house. Now, this could be connected to several things. It could be infernal, or it could be maybe ghostly activities. So basically, I'm looking for these kind of like vibes.
Okay. Well, as you, in that case, roll me perception awareness, as you know what you're looking for.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Fucking hell,
7,
those rolls.
6 successes.
Okay. Fucking 3 10s. Compared to Abel botching 2 rolls in his solo party. Poor
Well,
Abel.
maybe it's because I do not have a pact or like an in with a demon. That's why I'm more lucky.
We will assume that's the case, and not just blind luck. Anyway, so you.
I think it's called Devil's Luck, though.
And all of a sudden, Abel rolls 10 dice, all 10s. So yes, you look around for signs of supernatural, supernatural signs of undead, so wraiths mostly, right?
Race, demons.
So you look around, and the area seems. I think the best way to describe it is notoriously mundane.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Abel, did your wandering happen to show you something?
Not really.
Because
Not really. Feels mundane as hell.
kinda only presence in shadows I felt was from the direction of Abel.
I see.
Abel will
Okay.
take a closer look at the floors.
Looking for anything specific? Or.
Well, any odd pentagram under the carpet?
Well, the
Old,
basement doesn't
old
have
twister
really.
board.
Okay. Well, the basement doesn't really have any carpet per se. This area, it seems like it used to have some sort of flooring, but now it's mostly bare. It does have a few of the beams that used to hold the flooring above a certain level, but most of those are gone as well. And you look around the floor to see if you spot anything that might indicate things that you do not like and enjoy burning, and they are not here at all.
Serena's gonna start making her way upstairs.
All right. So as you start climbing the stairs, the stairs sort of creak under your feet as you go up, and eventually you reach this door that it's a very thick wooden door, though you can tell by you can tell when you push it. The door itself is lighter than it probably should be, so you'd guess the wood is quite old. But it does seem to be like very thick, a very thick door. And you push it, and it leads you to this very large sort of hallway that leads. So essentially, the way is you enter here, right? You have a large hallway, and then this part of the hallway is open to what looks like a very large entrance that leads straight to the front door. The front door, however, seems to have a number of planks essentially barring it. And someone seems to have nailed like a hanging crucifix on the front door.
I'm gonna approach it. I'm gonna approach it and use Spirit's Touch on it.
Okay. Roll for it. Anyone else going up the stairs with Serena?
Titus will go.
Yes, Abel will as well.
If there's not something that piques interest in the teller, I'll take it.
Okay.
And we'll
Oh my
go
God.
upstairs.
There goes your luck, I suppose.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, one success.
Okay. So you take the crucifix and sort of let it rest on your palm and focus on it for a moment. And immediately you get this very strong fear emotion. And in your mind, you get this image of a face. It's the face of a man with very very short white hair. It has sort of a goatee, sort of like my beard actually, without this bit, but all like white. The man is very old, from what you can tell, pale, with very bright blue eyes. And you get the sense, just from the general feel of this area of the man, you get the sense that whatever he wears is very tight around his neck, which you would assume, given the look and how few pieces of clothing actually give that vibe, you would assume this guy was a priest.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna like I by the way, I didn't take down the cross, I just touched
Yeah,
it.
I assumed. That's why you just let it rest and then you can just back up.
Okay. I mean, I could draw a card, but let's explore a bit more before that. More information would be useful.
Okay. Well, if anyone stayed in the basement, do send me a message on Discord. Otherwise,
I would look
you
actually back and see if Abel is here.
I did come upstairs with you.
Abel, do you see this crucifix? Whoever hung it up was quite afraid. Well, the area does feel quite mundane. Do you have any other insight?
Well, I could touch the item. I don't know what
Maybe
good it will do, but
well, it's up to you to know how your powers work.
well, if I do touch the item, do I get any vibes from it?
apologies. Could you repeat that, please?
If I put my hands on the crucifix, does it resonate in any way with anything that's in me?
So, just looking upon the crucifix, you feel this like this instinct in the back of your mind to just let go of it and let it do what it do, and you don't want anything to do with it. But it's more like an uncomfortable feeling rather than an actual desire to not touch it. Other than that, yeah, it's just a plain crucifix.
Okay. And did I see where Serena found it?
Well, it's still hanging on the front door.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Is it hanging on, like?
Like one nail that's on the planks and is just hanging from that nail.
Okay, not upside down or anything.
No.
Okay, I'll just leave it as it is. It's supposed to be there.
Yeah, well, the man who hung it up looked like a priest, and pretty scared. Of whatever it was.
There's a countless of things in this world that you can be afraid of.
Well, considering the murders in his house. There's a reason to be concerned.
I will just in spirit of science slip on the ring in this room as well.
All right. So as you slip on the ring and you sort of turn your flashlight around, the same view of the room remains. It's this sort of very dark, dingy version of reality. And looking around, you don't really see anything, and then you turn to the front door just to be thorough, and just as you turn, you sort of get startled by this figure that's basically staring at your face this close. And after you get startled, you kind of look it up and down, and it seems like the vague shape of someone, but its eyes are very hollow and its expression is very vacant, and it just sort of stands there staring at one spot.
Okay, do I make out if the creature is wearing anything priestly?
You look at it for a bit, and at some point you kind of lean over to look at its neck, because in its posture you can't really see the neck. So you just lean over to look at its neck, and you do see one of those like white collars tucked into the black shirt that you would expect a priest to wear.
I see. Hey, Serena,
Yeah.
I think the priest is here with us.
Really?
Yes.
Can I attempt to see him, Miguel? Miguel?
You can
Can I
roll to
attempt
see if you can detect him there. However, Auspex won't outright let you see the ghost. It will let you see sort of hints
Yeah,
that
yeah.
the ghost is present there, but that's about it. And I won't
Okay,
have you
do I
roll
roll
because you
awareness?
already. I won't have you roll because you already know there's something there. You've already been told. So if you focus using Auspex, you'll see something there.
Okay. Okay, well, does he have light, like white hair, a goatee, skinny looking, so to say?
Mm,
Just looking at the face, while it's gaunt as hell, the description does match. If the man was like drained of all life and looked like a walking corpse, yeah, it matches.
So,
What would
Abel,
put the priest in this plate, though?
yes, a ghostly one. And it also means we don't really know what kind of state he's in. Some of the race can be quite violent. Um,
I would
Abel,
say that he's currently in a dormant state.
yes, but who knows what would activate the guy? Either way, let's have a look. Abel, perhaps it would be good if you keep your ring on and, you know, keep an eye out for any other spirits here.
Does the wraith seem to be looking at something, or is it just a 10,000-mile stare
It
towards
is.
nothingness?
It is a 10,000 mile stare towards absolute fuck all.
Well, we best keep looking around then.
Yes, let us do that. But probably keep an eye out for any other supernaturals in the area. Well, I mean, ghostly ones. I'm sure we can notice the other ones ourselves. So Serena is going to take one of the hallways and walk there.
All right. So going down the hallway, you see a number of divisions, doors to either side.
She's
One
going to walk.
leads. Hmm?
She's going to basically like if there's a door and it's a room, she's going to walk in, have a look around, see if
Okay.
there's anything interesting or supernatural, and then continue.
Okay. Well, as you do, as you walk down the hallway, you look into one of the rooms. You see sort of this, what looks like a bedroom. And as you open the door, you hear this very muffled rumble, and then another rumble, and then you hear this sound of stone breaking and shattering.
What?
And everyone hears this.
Where does it come from?
Somewhere below you.
Larry?
Is Larry here?
Mm-mm.
Mm, I guess I'm going to go run downstairs and check up on Larry.
Any reaction from the priest?
None. But going downstairs to check on Larry, I'll allow whoever wants to go there because pretty fucking startling to hear this in the middle of a silent night. As you go down into the basement, at some point you do see Leo sort of with a cloth over his mouth and a gun in his hand sort of climb down, and he sees you guys approach with flashlights in hand and just says, "Everything okay? What the fuck was that?"
Good
We're gonna
question.
go see where Larry is.
Leo basically looks to the side and just goes, "Very well, carry on," and starts going up the stairs. And if you look where he looked, you see the small room from before. The wall at the end of that small room is fucking gone. And Larry is looking very angry at this hole where a wall used to be. And then there's this large open room with a bunch of shackles hanging from the walls.
Larry, is everything okay?
Yes. Did I startle you?
A bit.
I
You thought
am-
something happened.
I am sorry. There
What
is.
happened?
Well, I came around this thin and hollow as it appeared to be wall and smashed through it.
Ah,
You can see.
Couldn't
okay, but
you probably path through it?
yeah.
It'll be less noisy.
And probably won't also like sacrifice
Structural integrity.
stability of the building. Yeah.
We are
Well,
essentially
this wall
the
is
fundament.
thin, so it doesn't carry any weight on itself, and
How thin is he talking? Like 1 brick thin?
It's basically 1 brick thin, yeah. It's
Okay,
it's
okay.
not like it's about
3
this
bricks.
thick.
Yeah.
But I'm interested in the room with shackles that he found, so I'm going to go towards the room and look around.
Leo is coming upstairs.
He came out of The
Yeah. He's
basement
climbing
areas and
out
shit.
of the basement, not into the
Okay, who
building,
needs
but
to
out of
breathe?
the building.
In that case, since I hear voices, speaking voices downstairs, I will go there as well.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Abel ends up joining you, and what all of you are seeing at this point is this. It's essentially a room where the floor sort of raises a little, as if the floor of this room was just this concrete and nothing else. And you see one drain in the center, and you notice that if you pay attention, you notice that all the room is sort of like slanted towards this this little hole in the center. And all of the shackles on the walls are basically two pairs, like one pair of shackles nailed to one very thick like metal piece that sort of loops around these very thick chains that are rusted but still very much holding on. And while it's not something you can smell because at this point there's barely anything left to smell, you do see sort of staining on the floor that indicates that at the base of each of these shackles there's some fucking thing that stained its way to the center. You would assume it's blood.
Yeah.
Was this something that Leo reported in
Nope.
the house? I'm gonna go look. Are there any entrances to this area to which Larry just broke? Like,
Mm-mm.
so
Just a wall.
It was okay. I'm gonna approach
Interesting.
one of the. So I'm going to see where the bloodstains are, and I'm gonna approach one of the shackles from which there is like a bloodstain and use
Yeah,
Spirit
all of
Touch.
them have stains. All of them.
Okay.
Every single one.
Then I'm gonna approach one of them and try and see.
Okay. What are you trying to spot exactly?
I'm using Spirit Touch on the shackles.
Okay, roll it. What is everyone else doing regarding this absurd
I'm
situation?
trying to figure out if
1,
it's
2, 3, 4, 5.
if it was a room for like sacrifices or more like just holding peeps against their will.
You can roll me wits investigation.
Wits investigation. And I
5
have no
successes.
investigation.
Huh?
I have no investigation.
In that case, the roll is still made. However, difficulty is up by 2.
Yep.
Couldn't he like make a cult roll?
I mean, if he wants to check for not just a place for sacrifices, but a place for like a cult themed
Ritual
sacrifices. If that's what you're checking for, that's different.
I'm
roll
just
with the cult.
more like using general sense.
Okay. So is that last roll you made, Serena, your spirit touch?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Let me check the specifics of what you get with that amount of success because it's not a small amount. Let's see.
Everything.
Fucking everything. You just go to the spirits and go gib.
Basically.
Yeah, basically you get anything you want to know about the owner of the item and the relationship they had with the item. However, I will also grant you I'll also grant you all the emotional charge it has with the last person that interacted with the item. And I'll differentiate between the two because you got that many successes. So basically what you feel first is the immediate emotion connected to the last person who touched it. Not the last person who owned it, the last person who touched it. And the feeling you would expect is pain or fear or something like that. All you get from the last emotion felt by anyone who touched this shackle is exhaustion. Like pure exhaustion. After a few moments, you focus even more and you grip the chains a bit tighter. You even bring your other hand to hold the actual shackle itself, and you sort of focus on it. And you start to see hints of who owned it. At first, you see small images of this face. A man who is rather portly, with a very small hint of a beard. Not like Tony's glorious beard, but like a fucking measly fucking poor excuse for a beard. And about as much hair as I have, so not a lot. So you see this guy who's like very. He looks very well taken care of, yet not taking care of himself. That's the vibe that you get. And after a few more moments, you get the sense that this person was not just the owner of the shackles, but the owner of the property, at least a very long time ago. And as you run your fingers through the chains, you sense that this man held in here not just anyone, he held in here people he wanted that he couldn't have. You sense that these shackles held more than just one person. They held men, women, and at a certain point you sort of get this emotion connected to the owner, this emotion of extreme desire. And when you try to search for other emotions that might actually give you some information to what actually happened here, you get an emotion connected to whoever was shackled here, and immediately you let go of the chains, because what you get is an extreme sense of disgust and desire to be elsewhere.
Do I get that guy's name? Because I should be.
You do, and I will send you in PMs.
What do my general sense tells me with 2 successes?
You get the sense that this place wasn't meant for rituals. The layout is not appropriate for that. You would think that if it was meant for rituals, there wouldn't be like one drain in the center. There would be several drains in the corners, and the center would be like where the actual ritual happens. There would also be an even distribution of shackles around that center. There isn't. And lastly, the entrance basically wouldn't be in one of the corners of the room. It would be probably centered in the room, with, that same distribution of shackles making space for it. That's not the case. So you definitely get the sense that this is like personal fucking project of some rich asshole, not ritual of some demon worshiper.
Amateurs.
Yes.
I am still wearing the
I'll
ring.
be right back.
You are.
But I presume there's nothing then? Or...
Well, you looking around with the ring, it does take you a bit because, again, very dark. So as you look around, at some point you see these very, very, very faint remnants of something that is sort of human-shaped. Sort of. But at this point, there's such faint remnants of this shape that you could barely call it a human. at most, you would see this as more of like an imprint of a skeleton of something that was and is no longer. Like a forgotten thing. And it does about the same thing the priest did. It just exists there in one position, not really reacting to anything.
Serena lets go of the shackles and then, well, as far as I feel, this man held here whoever he couldn't have. And whoever was held here felt a lot of disgust toward him. Wasn't anything supernatural. I guess he built this room in order to hide here men, women, or whatever else he couldn't have. Maybe lovers that rejected him. She closes her eyes as she's touching the chains. He looks portly, rich, and well looked after, but then he doesn't look after himself. Miguel, the name, parece.
Working on it.
My God. She concentrates. Rich. And his name. I almost have it.
RandomAmericanNameGenerator.net.
Renato Cortes the second. Huh. Perhaps a title? Maybe Lord Renato Cortes? I think. Serena takes out her phone as she opens
The
it,
second
and
would mean he has another member of his line.
yeah,
named that.
so Serena basically takes out the phone and starts searching.
All right. Roll me just a very quick. Well, for this information, it would be really fucking difficult to find, and you'd need to know how to find it. So while you're using a phone to search for it, let me see what you might actually. Let's say academics in this scenario, because you'd need to know like academic sources
Sure,
that
does
you
his-
search.
Oh, does history apply?
Yes. So wits and academics. Literally did not do that on purpose. I was checking. I think it was Jack's thing.
Two
Apparently,
successes.
yeah, you do have, yeah. Okay.
Oh yes, did you forget what Iris studied in uni?
I did. Actually, I did. So you know of a few places that are like somewhat reliable when it comes to information like this, and you find nothing about a Renato Cortes II. However, you do know that there was essentially descendants of a line of Cortez that eventually settled down in this area. And looking at the places where, well, the places they owned, this was among the land they owned. There is no mention of a Renato Cortes II, however. You find a Renato Cortes, but he didn't own land here. Or he didn't live here, at least.
When was that, and what was the first one's deal? Was it like colonial time?
No, you'd place it far after the colonial times. You'd place this shortly before the Victorian era.
And any specific businesses or something like that?
Well, you just get land owned in history. further research on this, you'd probably need to invest more time in it. You won't get it just by looking in your phone really quick.
Well, I suppose some rich asshole child decided to, you know, got keep here whoever decided to not want to be friends with him. Pathetic, really.
Sounds egomaniacal enough to be fucking Ventro.
Mortal, as far as I'm. Was he mortal? The second one?
Well, the internet wouldn't tell you, but your
My
spirit's
touch, I mean.
touch definitely tells you this guy was immortal. Mortal, not
Well,
immortal.
well, as far as I'm concerned, while he was being busy with this, he was not a Ventru, just a mortal. Mm.
That's
Serena
just
is going to
immortal,
check.
it seems.
Well, I suppose this all happened quite a long time ago, and the people who were stuck here, they just felt really exhausted of it all. Well, at least the last person who was stuck here. By the way, Serena is going to have a look at the time and see how much time they have to return.
Well, at this point, you'd probably have enough time to make it home, but not much. You'd basically have to cut through downtown to do it.
We should probably get going now.
Yeah.
All in all, a cozy little house, yeah?
Oh, unless
I
someone wants to
suppose-
sleep here.
It is also haunted.
Well, I suppose if somebody wants to sleep here in order to research it further the next day, I don't mind. But I will have to get back to the safe house.
I'm not sure I could really stay. But probably I could.
Are you saying this
At
as you're
least-
leaving? Or are you saying this while staying in the room?
We're still there.
Okay.
We have a few minutes.
So, if anyone wishes to spend more time searching this place, so that you don't waste time traveling through downtown or all around it, you could stay the night here. But I'm going to start making my way back if I want to get back to the house before the night runs out.
I will stay here.
Very well. Just make sure to travel safely back to our house when you choose to tomorrow. And if you find anything, report. Serena just actually fishes out into her pocket. I've been meaning to pass you along. And she gives him a phone. This is a phone? Do you remember how to use one?
You definitely would. You
I'm
don't know where
feeling
you
like
learned, but you'd know how to use one.
Very well. So,
I guess I could keep Larry company. Worst case scenario.
by the way,
I'll pay
Larry,
Isaac a visit.
by the way, Larry, if you wish to try and recapture some of the memories you had before, come to me next week and we can work on that.
okay.
Right then. You stay safe, and I suppose Leo can come pick up you tomorrow, Jack.
Or later. Depends on how
Mhm.
much crap we'll get here.
Mm-hmm.
Abel, would you mind if I borrow your ring?
Of course not.
Greatly appreciated.
Do not step on the wraith upstairs, just in case.
All right. So, just to recap, Larry and Jack are staying. Is Leo staying?
I suppose Leo is going back so that he can get a car.
Yeah, cab across fucking LA.
So, what if you ask Leo to go back? He'll be apprehensive about it, but eventually he'll suggest that he goes back, takes everyone back, and then comes back with his own personal car just to watch over the place while you guys stay here.
Yeah, sounds about right.
All right.
Right then. If anything out of the ordinary happens, Jack, Larry,
I have your
get out
number.
safe and report what else you will learn about the house
Sure.
when you return back. And then we will decide what to do with this house, whether we treat it as a second haven, as a primary haven, or otherwise.
Sure thing.
Right then. Stay safe. And Serena waves bye to Larry and Jack and then proceeds to leave the horror house.
All right. And as Leo hurries back to get Serena, Abel, and Titus to their haven, Jack and Larry remain in the house, finding cozy spots. Maybe a room, maybe one of the places in the basement, maybe the entrance near the sewers, wherever you end up finding a place comfortable enough to enter torpor where you know you're not going to be seen. And thus ends the night. The coming week, you expect, will be filled with plenty of investigation, plenty of intel gathering, and preparing for what will become either a loud or quiet siege of Santa Monica. And we will leave it there. Thank you for watching.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.
Thanks.